Hello everyone, I'm Lucy Fanger, CEO of On Technology Partners, and I'm proud to be sponsoring our new program, Women Stars. In each episode, we will spotlight an amazing woman and the struggles and triumphs that she has faced. Then we will reflect and share her insights. Our goal is to engage, entertain, and explore the women stars in our world today. I hope you enjoy.
I want to thank you all for listening today. My name is Shanti Harkness, and I'm the Media Manager for On Technology Partners, a woman-owned company addressing cybersecurity and risk. As a woman-owned business for 30 years, we wanted to share the stories of women and the struggles, triumphs, and reflections they face. This is why we started Women Stars. Today, we'll be talking with Ronda Toth. Ronda, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today.
Well, thanks, Shanti. And I've been looking forward to this, and I feel so honored to be among this wonderful group of women that you're doing in the series. So thanks for asking me.
It's an honor to have you. So before we begin, why don't you tell us something about yourself that others may not know, or something exciting about yourself?
Yeah, thanks. I think when we chatted earlier, we went down a path of pets and talking about, our dogs and our cats and, the animals in our lives that mean so much to us. And the funny thing is all of our pets ended up with a name that begins with the letter O. And I say ended up that way. It started out with Oscar and Otis, and Jim had a dog named Odessa. And then as time has gone on, we've adopted other pets. We had a rabbit named Oreo, and we had two more cats named Ollie and Omer, and another dog, Oakley. So as time has gone on, it just kind of happened that way. And now that we look back at it, we're like, how did that even happen? But it's been fun.
It is fun. So share with us a little bit about what you do, where you work, what it's like, and how long you've been doing it.
Yeah, thanks. Right now I am, and I love what I'm doing, by the way. And I think it's part of our pathway and how things unfold. I work for a company called Vision 360. It's a business intelligence data analytics company for small to mid-sized businesses. We work with some large enterprise companies as well, but our sweet spot is the mid-market. And my role there is really twofold. I have two different hats that I wear. One is more of a business development, client success, account manager role, where I'm internal as well as external, working with clients to identify opportunities. And then on the flip side with others, I'm more in the weeds. I'm more in the jungle of project management, and I'm much deeper into what's happening with that client and the work that we're doing with them. So it's like I said, sort of a flip-flop of what I do from time to time, but I love it.
I love wearing multiple hats in a position.
Just suits us, yeah.
Yeah, no 2 days are exactly alike, and it's just, the fruit of life. It's just a lot of enjoyment in being flexible and having that excitement of different things every day.
Yeah,
it's wonderful.
No 2 days are the same, ever.
Absolutely. So how did you decide what you wanted to do with your life? Is this current position something that you've always been in, or is this a new position or a new path in your career?
So yes and no. I started out of school in the retail merchandising, planning, and analytics space, and spent many years working for Federated Department Stores and then mercantile stores in their corporate offices. So it was a very definitely, like I said, corporate layered environment, and then was recruited to go into that same sort of business and planning and analytics space with two different software companies. So I did that for many years and traveled and had a very expansive footprint of what we were doing, what I was doing, where I was going. North America and Central Europe were my territories. So it was fun. And then, like I said, as we got down the path of life, decided to start a company. And my husband was at the time wanting to leave his corporate job. And we just said, let's do it. And so I went into that for a good 10, 15 years. And then because of some health conditions that he had, I said, I really, really want to get back into the analytics and planning and business intelligence space. So I made the jump back in, and I don't have any regrets. I absolutely love doing what I'm doing now. So it's been fun.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So we know that triumphs don't come without their struggles, right? So can you share what some of your biggest struggles have been? This could be both professionally or personally, and really just how you were able to get through them and how they affected you and what kind of impact it had on your life or career.
Yeah, I think that's such a good question, and you asked it the right way. It's a blend, I think, of what's happening in your personal life does affect what's going on in your professional life, and vice versa. I don't think that the two can be separated. I think there are folks that maybe are from that school of thought, and I know when I first started out in my career, there was a work life, and then there was your personal life, and never the two shall intermeet or intertwine. And as time has gone on, I have found that to be the furthest thing from the truth. I struggled with initially, like I said, starting the company and debating whether or not I even wanted to, we wanted to do this. And it was a field that I was not 100% familiar with, and I had to learn. And again, building a company from scratch is, you have to think about how you want to go about doing that. Mm-hmm. So it was a struggle to leave what I was doing, and it affected my personal life tremendously in a positive way. But there were definitely some hiccups and some financial sacrifices that we had to make. Being responsible for employees and understanding, that, not one framework fits everyone's life. That to me was one of the most important things about having a company and working with, not just with people, but like that interaction with them, supporting your livelihood, and accommodating, not just their personal life. Like, we had an employee that had a special needs daughter, and we had an employee whose family was going through, some challenging times, and wearing that old school hat of, well, you can't work for us if you can't show up at 8:00 every day. That just doesn't work. And I don't think that works even now in today's world. So
I agree. I know I have found myself, blurring those lines as well. And I'm always thinking about things. So for me, I'll be driving down the street, on my own personal time outside of work, and I'll see something, and that'll give me an idea or an idea of how to solve a problem that I was having at work, or an inspiration of how to do something differently or more creatively, and vice versa. I'll be at work, and I'll be tackling a project or something of that nature, and something that happened, in my personal life will kind of spark this idea of how to do this or how to incorporate that, or a different perspective, which I think is better. I'm not, well, I mean, I am taking work home with me because I'm working remotely right now.
Right.
But there is that cutoff of, okay, I'm done with work now. But I think in the back of my mind, like, things are still going, things are still running, and wheels are still turning, and I'm subtly still thinking about how to address this, or how to incorporate that, or how to make a project better in both, my personal life and my professional life. So I do, and working for a company that is very, very supportive of a person's individual needs, and is really focused on putting family first as part of their business practices. It's such a wonderful company to work for that has that kind of mentality towards their employees, which just, makes that employee loyalty even stronger, and makes people work harder in further support of the company's goals and missions. So I agree. I don't think they can be separated. And I think it's better when they're not, in most cases anyways.
Yeah. I mean, there's parts of your work life that are part of who you are, and it's part of your identity, and it's part of how you thrive. Right. So like I said, as time has gone on, it's such a, to your point, you get inspiration sometimes when you're not even thinking about, work per se. It just comes to you, and then ta-da, yeah, you're using that, in the morning or the next day when, in a meeting or something like that. So, yep.
Absolutely. So let's take a moment and focus on your biggest triumph. Can you share what that triumph was and what made it so great for you?
Yeah, I think, and this was hard to answer because I'm a person that lives in life sort of there are small things that just bring me happiness, like there are little things that are triumphs to me. And, that ability to kind of identify, what is happening right now is so important. And I think starting the company, like I said, it was a big, big thing for me. So that as much of it was a struggle, it was also a triumph. So they intertwine. And then even deciding to go back to what I was doing, that was a huge triumph. There's that, inner feeling of, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do what I was doing before. I don't know if I've been out of it for too long, is that going to put me at a disadvantage? And, interestingly enough, the company that I'm with now personally wanted to be in a smaller environment that, wasn't a corporate scenario. So there is that team interaction, and people do, understand what's going on, not deep sometimes in your personal life, but enough to know, like, I'm getting married this weekend. Not me, but somebody from our team just got married over the weekend. And it was one of those things where we were just so excited for him. So when I say what is my biggest triumph, I look at, where are things at right now? Is there peace in my life? Is there serenity in my life? Can I recognize joy and embrace that? That to me is a triumph that didn't happen when I was younger. And I'll be very honest, it didn't happen even in my personal life for many years for a handful of reasons. But at this point, I can confidently say that's a huge win. So
I think that's absolutely beautiful. And I love it. And I love that that's how you describe your triumphs, is that joy and serenity and, happiness, rather than I met XYZ, financial goal or something
I think that's a result that results in sort of doing, this being present thing. I don't know how else to describe that. I know it sounds kind of cliche and quirky, and everyone talks about it, but it's hard, I think, sometimes to get your arms around it. And when that happens, that to me is the secret sauce.
Could not agree more. Thank you so much for sharing that. So all of us face hard times. We were talking about this before we started our interview. Yeah. So do you have any tips or tricks that you use to get through those hard times or to really push through, the worst of times?
Yeah, your questions are just amazing. Like I said, when I was preparing for this, in my opinion, there's things that you have to think about in the present, things that are happening right now that are not good. Everyone's going through, what we went through with COVID, and now this, sort of this unrest with what's going on with the election. And I think there's a constant undercurrent of insecurity. And when I look at, how do I stay centered and how do I stay grounded? I think to myself, this is temporary. This too shall pass. This is not how it always has to be. And I say that if things aren't working for me, that means I have to change something about myself. So if I'm in a rut, or if something's not moving in the direction that I want, or if things aren't happening at the pace that I want, I look at myself and I say, what should I do different? I don't typically, I used to blame circumstances or other people. And I got to a point where I just said, I've got to make the change. Otherwise, it's a pointless uphill battle, and I'm banging my head against the wall. So I look at the situation, whatever it is. My family's struggling with some things right now personally, and even with work, there's some clients that aren't performing the way we want them to perform. All right, what should I be doing differently? And I look back at what I've changed, and I approach it with, and I think your other speakers touched on this too, is this attitude of gratitude. And if I stay thankful, and if I stay, cup half full versus cup half empty, that changes things. And I can very easily get to the cup half empty side of the fence. And I have to pull myself back over and say, it's not as bad as you think, and be happy and be grateful for the things that are going right. So
thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm certain that will ring true for a lot of our listeners as well. And I can definitely attest to changing that mentality and what a difference that makes. I know for most of my life, I definitely held on to that victim mentality. Everything was happening to me. Everything was everybody else's fault. It was never because of anything that I did or could have done. And when I learned to change my mentality, everything changed. Everything changed. And I was less angry, less frustrated, less depressed. I had less anxiety. It was just amazing how much that shift in our perception and our shift in our understandings can just open up this entirely different world.
And it's a process. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't think it's something that you can switch on and switch off. At least I can't. I mean, for me, it's been a constant, I've got to work at this. Mm-hmm. It doesn't just happen overnight, and it doesn't just happen, when I feel like it. Usually when I feel like it is the least amount is when I don't want to do it, right?
Absolutely. But it's so worth it. So worth it. And just, makes life so much more enjoyable. Even when you're going through challenging times. Yeah. It can be more enjoyable than you think.
Yeah. Your circumstances don't have to dictate and tell you how you have to be.
Yeah, absolutely. You can still maintain a degree of inner peace regardless of what the outer circumstances are. And when we get to that place and operating from that mentality, it's just, life's not the same anymore.
Yeah,
it's wonderful. I'm so glad you shared that. Thank you.
Well, thanks.
So as women, we were juggling a multitude of different things, career and family, household responsibilities, illnesses, caregiving, all of these different things. Can you talk a little bit about how you maintain a work-life balance? And as an employee, what do you think that employers could do to be more supportive?
I think that's a really good way to position that with this work-life balance. And I think that's a very common discussion right now is how do you do both? And, now that we've all gone virtual and it's this, I don't get to see my team in person anymore. So I have to make an extra effort to kind of maybe see if they want to get together for something or not in person. And some people are, and I think when you said, what does that mean? It's a respect factor, I think, from an employee and an employer perspective. I think circumstances are different for different folks. And again, I may think that, I'm okay being socially distanced and doing what I feel is right, but someone else may be in a very different situation and they're concerned that they're going to pass the virus on to an elderly family member. You can't judge and I think have that what works for me is going to work for everybody else mentality, because right now you've got to understand and I think realize what other people and put yourself in their shoes, what they may be going through. And I think that's hard to do. It's hard for me to do from time to time. So that respect factor and juggling, like I said, A to Z and family and job and parents. And it's all part of, I think, living with what I call a day-to-day and mentality. I can't think about too much in the future. Mm-hmm. I mean, I plan for certain things, but you can't think about what's going to happen and spend your life worrying. And then on the flip side, the past is the past. There's got to be a level of let it go and move on. And sort of like I said, this day by day kind of thing right now is what I think is keeping me afloat.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. And I think a lot of people are stuck in that rut of, looking back to the past and wondering, what if, or, could I have done something different, or ruminating over something.
Yeah.
Ruminating over something that happened, good or bad. But also, like you said, on the flip side, looking to the future and wondering, what if, am I going to be okay? Is my family going to be okay? What's going to happen? Things like that. And we forget to be right here, right now.
Yeah.
And looking to the past is useless because you can't change it. So why stress out over it? And the future's not here yet.
Yeah.
So you can't control that either. All we can do is focus on the present moment and what can we do now to make our life better and to do better and be better, because we can't go back to the past and we can't go to the future.
Yeah.
Neither one exists.
Yeah.
All we have is right here, right now.
My son shared something with me that was so apropos, because my mom has Parkinson's, and she's actually she's immobile right now, or she's at home. She can get around, but I was really like in a funky place with understanding what I wanted to do to try to help her, and sort of planning out, this person aid comes on this day, and I had this whole like thing laid out. And my son said to me, "Mom, are you setting your boundaries?" And I said, yeah, well, now that you say that, I'm probably not doing that good of a job of it. But for my son to say that to me, as a 14-year-old, he's 15 this weekend, it was such a good reminder to me. Number one, that, I think we all need to help each other and boost each other from time to time, and have that bandwidth to say, this is feeling tight or tension. I'm feeling tension. And that little reminder from him was like, okay, you're right. I'm a little too tightly wound right now. I got to take it back a step. And it was just so good to hear from him.
It's definitely a wonderful reminder. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Set those boundaries and to keep to them, for our own sanity and our own well-being.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So Rhonda, how do you define success for yourself? And do you have any tips or habits that you can share that help you to be successful?
This was great, and it's right in line with the book I'm reading right now. So when I saw this was part of the discussion for today, I thought, this is so in alignment. I'm reading a book. Well, I'm reading a couple books right now, but I'm reading a book right now called Untamed by Glennon Doyle, and she talks about, which I think is the best way to describe it. When you said, how do I define success? It's listening to your knowing. And I use that word knowing. I don't know if anyone's read that book or not, but she describes it in a way in her book that I think is so like point on. There's that gut feeling, or that, I have that understanding of like what I should be doing and what I shouldn't be doing. And it's so easy to let that evaporate and let that just kind of float away. And as I'm reading her words and, her chapters, that to me is being in touch with that and staying in touch with that and reminding myself daily, what is my gut telling me? Am I too tired? Do I need to take a break? Do I need to amp it up a little bit? Maybe I'm not performing or not doing what I should be doing. And what can I eliminate? What's too much? So that is what success looks like to me, is understanding that there are things that are frivolous that I just need to say, nope, I'm not going to get to that. And there are things that are important for right now that need to be addressed. And that could be, a client that called with something that's just something broke and we got to fix it right now. Or number two, my daughter is like you, recovering from a concussion and her head's pounding. So those are the things you just have to be aware of and understand how to embrace what's going on right now. And that's success for me.
So a wonderful description. Thank you. So now let's take a little bit of a shift and reflect. So if you could reflect on, what is the best advice that you've ever received?
This is so hard because there's so many good things people have said and things I've read and, all that along the way. But I have to go back to, live each day sort of one day at a time, and really try to do your best to be present. And I know I've said that probably 5 different times in 3 different ways already. But as I reflect and look at what I want to change and do differently, it's to do that more. And it's to really, stay in that moment of who I'm talking to, what I'm involved with at that point in time. I'm putting my cell phone purposely away right now, not just with you, but if I'm in a meeting, that's off and it's away. So unless someone's in the hospital that I need to know about, you're what's important right now. So staying in touch with reality right now is what I think is the most important thing.
I love it and could not agree more. It's excellent. So is there something that you wish you would have known sooner in life that you can share?
I think it took a while for me to really understand the joy and the benefit of giving back. And I know that it's part of this, enjoy the journey, but think about, I want to say give back, meaning an attitude of gratitude with sharing, that we have enough that we can either help someone that's in need financially, or you can maybe donate a little bit of your extra time to listen to someone who may not be in your circle, or to spend time with them. Like I said, I think time is one of our most valuable resources. And, as I've been involved with, our church and some other organizations along the way, that has been, I think, that sort of give back thing. I don't think that was stressed enough to me as I was growing up, or even, it kind of was, but it's kind of one of those things if you had time to do it. And now I make time to do that. And it's one of those, it's like the icing on the cake kind of thing. To see someone's face, or to really have that connection with someone after helping them.
Absolutely. I love that. And like you said, like for me as well, it's not something that really sunk in until, later.
A little later down the road.
Down the road. And I wish I could remember the name of the scientist or the researcher. But I had read that, when we're serving others and extending that unconditional love to others, there's actually a chemical or a molecule in our brain that actually causes us to feel that same love that we're extending to others, that's what makes us feel so good and so full of love and compassion. Like we're feeling what it is that we're giving to others.
Yeah.
It just, that really stuck with me. And
I got to look that up now. Now you've got me curious.
I wish I could remember who it was, but that's definitely something that I've observed for myself as well when I'm volunteering and helping others with no concern for any kind of outcome or any kind of return, like just doing it selflessly to help someone else without expecting anything, that it just fills me with so much gratitude and love and helps keep me humble, but inspired. It's this phantasmagorical experience. It's wonderful.
Phantasmagorical. I like that. I like that word.
It's a fun word. But I think it really does describe it. It's just this kind of indescribable feeling when you're serving others and putting somebody else first. Yeah. It's wonderful.
It's counterintuitive to a certain degree, I think, especially like I said, as with my kids, I don't think they don't truly get it yet, but they will, I think, at some point. But yeah, when you have that happen, and then when you finally realize this is pretty cool. Yeah. What you just described, nailed it.
That's wonderful. Thank you. So, big question. What advice would you give to young women beginning their careers?
I think the biggest tip I would give anyone is to, and I go back to that, listen to your knowing, listen to your gut. It's not going to lie to you. If something doesn't feel right, if you're in a situation that is compromising who you are, then it's got to change. And sometimes you can't change it right away. You can certainly put the ball in motion to change it. So I'm going to say, listen to your knowing. It will not steer you wrong, and it's there for a reason.
Excellent advice. Thank you. So Rhonda, if somebody wanted to get in contact with you, how would they get in touch with you?
Yeah, I think the best way is via my email or my cell, and we can certainly post that or pass that along after the video, or I can certainly give that now, whatever you prefer.
Well, this will be on podcast, so
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Let's go ahead and have you share it.
Sure. My cell phone is 216-577-4644. And then the best way to reach me is I'd probably say my work email. So it's rtoth, Toth, at vision360.com. It's VIZION, and then the number 360.com.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Rhonda.
Yeah.
It has been an absolute privilege speaking with you. Thank you again for taking the time for this interview.
It's been my honor. And thank you for everything you're doing too, Shanti. And thank you to Lucy and Ken.
Thank you so much. So On Technology Partners wants to thank you for joining us on this episode of Women Stars. If you'd like to nominate a woman to be interviewed for Women Stars, please email their contact information and your reason for nominating them to stars@ontechpartners.com. My name is Shanti Harkness. Until next time, have a great day.
Thank you for joining us on today's journey. Remember, you are all women stars. If you wish to learn more about our Women Stars program or want to be a guest on our show, contact us at stars@ontechpartners.com. And thank you to On Technology Partners for helping me make this program a reality. Remember, we at On Technology Partners want to help you protect your team from hackers. To learn more about our cybersecurity services, go to ontechnologypartners.com.